Hey there, it's Craig. Let me tell you, I was taking a look at the last few episodes that we've released. A lot of them had the focus on jobs, Job Seeker Edition. Are internships worth it? Should I get a summer job? And then most recently, balancing multiple jobs. All in all, those show titles I'm proud of, and I'm proud of the content that we put together. But I have to tell you, there has to be a point where you take a break. And that's what we're doing on today's show, the importance of taking breaks. Join me for episode 156 next. I was an engineer, and in 2008, lost my job due to the economic collapse. Jobs were scarce. I didn't know where to turn to get help updating my resume. Online services and coaches charge hundreds, even thousands of dollars. I took matters into my own hands and learned how to craft interview-winning resumes. Shortly later, I landed a job with a Fortune 500 company. I have helped many achieve similar success. Now I share my tips to create interview-winning resumes, interviewing excellence, and high-performance growth strategies on my podcast, Career Growth Made Easy. Hey there, it's Craig Ansell, and welcome back to another energy-packed episode of Career Growth Made Easy podcast. I have to tell you, it's time to take a break though. My last few episodes have hit home with me and some of our listeners, I have to tell you. The Job Seeker Edition. Are internships worth it? Should you get a summer job? And then most recently, a few episodes later, balancing multiple jobs. Okay, Craig, I get the message. It's all about jobs and career growth. But really, it's time to take a break. And that's what today's show is going to focus on. We're at episode 156, the importance of taking breaks. Now, when we talk about breaks, a number of things come to mind for me, and I'm not sure about you. There's short breaks, there's long breaks, and let's talk a little bit about each. Short breaks. They could be daily, they could be weekly, breaking from your routine, your work routine, your education routine. But I have to tell you, breaks are an important part of our lives, and they really help us refresh and recharge. And I briefly mentioned those on my last episode, Balancing Multiple Jobs. I do recommend taking breaks throughout the day. I think the medical experts, recommend no more than 90 minutes to 120 minutes of continuous work before taking a break. It seems that that's about the level that your body can handle, and then your attention span, your focus, and your ability to be efficient and effective wear off. Now, I know we've all worked more than 2 hours at a time, some of us 4 hours, 6 or 8 hours, and that's with skipping breaks, skipping meals, skipping lunches, and even powering through, as one of my coworkers says, powering through the day and skipping the time for dinner and just, hey, if I get this done in the office, then I don't have to, clock back in at home and log into the computer. I can knock it out here. And before you know it, you've worked 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., a full 12-hour shift with minimal to no breaks and limited to no time for refreshments and food. So powering through is one thing. Taking breaks is another. It's recommended to take breaks after a period of no more than 2 hours of continuous work, even if it's a short break, 5-10 minutes. But then what do you do during that break is the question. Do you carry your work cell phone with you, or your work tablet, or your watch is connected and you still can get work emails, calendar invites and such? Or do you mentally disconnect? And that's what I wanted to remind you of today on today's show, the importance of not only taking breaks, but what you do on these breaks. Then also for long term, what do you think about that? It's time off from work. It could be time off, including vacations, or just time away from doing your daily work activities. This impacts your health, as I said, and certain aspects of your life can be more stressful than others, and the longer that you work, the harder you work without taking breaks, this can increase the stress on your body up to the point of having negative impacts. There's effects of stress from low to extreme. The effects can come from working repeat hours, but repeat extended hours, that is. If you routinely put in a lot more time than is expected of you because you're behind in your work, or that you just have so much work to do and you take on more and more. This repeat extended hours can have a negative effect on you. I'll give you a personal example of something that happened to me. One day, I was off to work like any other normal day, working in the office. I saw my children and my wife at the front door. I think they were getting ready for a full day of school, and I kissed them all goodbye and headed off to my job. It was a normal day of work for me. I got into my office, placed my things on my desk, got into my chair, and the day went on. Well, a little bit later, I realized, you know what? It was time to go. So I spun around on my desk, my chair, grabbed my keys, grabbed my laptop bag, and headed home. When I left in the morning, it was dark, that time of year, and when I headed back, it was dark also, so not much change there. The shocker came to be that when I got into my home, into my hallway, there were my wife and my kids. I'm thinking, wow, they've got home from school late today. They must have had some activities. My wife and kids said to me, "What are you doing home, Craig? Did you forget something?" I actually didn't understand what had happened, and I thought they were joking with me. But what had happened? I had gotten to my desk in my office, sat down in my chair, put my things down, spun around, then, shortly later, picked up my things, thinking it was the end of the day, and went back home, traveling basically in the same traffic home that I just traveled to work with. That's a scary situation, to think that the human body can't tell the difference between morning and night or working a full shift. But that's a situation for me where I had to pause, and that was concern for certain medical concerns, right? If I kept up the level of stress, the level of being unaware of my surroundings, my body's reaction to the fact that I was working so many extended hours on this special project, the signs were becoming clear. I knew then and there I had to take a break, and I spoke to my management about that, and they were very supportive. These are situations where sometimes we don't recognize the amount of stress in our bodies and our lives. I was part of that cause by allowing it to happen and putting in extensively long work hours on a repeated basis, not only in the office, but after getting home and restarting up the computer, as well as working weekends and nights. This is an extreme case, but if left, undiagnosed or unsupported, it could have led to worse conditions, extreme stress, strokes, heart attacks, bodily damage, things of that nature. So I'm glad I was able to get that caught without any injury to me or to others. And then I was able to get some valued rest in and help reset and recharge. So thinking about your life, the importance of breaks. Where are you? How stressful are your days? Everyone's going to have it differently. Some days stresses may be greater than others. But it's how we manage those stressors on our bodies and our lives that really count. Also, if you're not quite sure how stress and how your work impacts you, I offer you this: being complacent in your life. When complacency creeps in, it can be something, let's say, you become comfortable with. You become comfortable with your jobs, your tasks. They become almost automated. You can do these things without purpose and almost without care. Like I said, it becomes more robotic. You might even have forgotten why you were performing a certain task. These things can be demotivating, but they can also be dangerous. When we go on this sort of autopilot, we aren't always fully aware of our surroundings. Here's an example, kind of test you. Have you ever driven somewhere and you weren't quite sure how you got there? Have you ever had a daydreaming episode, whether at work or in your personal life, and you might have had to say to somebody, "I'm sorry, I heard you, but I wasn't listening"? I can almost see you nodding your head yes to that one. We simply tune things out. If we're constantly getting distracted from the amount of work we have to do, this could be a good time for a break. The duration of the break is for you to determine. Is it a daily break, once or twice? A walk around the block? A walk around the building? Or simply stop down at your break room? For me, walking in the morning, I feel refreshed and ready to go. ready to tackle on the day's events. But you know what? There have been days prior to getting a fresh reset each day that I might wake up moaning and groaning. Oh, what's ahead of me? If you're in that situation, the latter, and you wake up unhappy, unwanting to do what's ahead of you, your outlook, believe it or not, plays a big role in how you handle the rest of your day and how it's going to go. If you start out the day grumpy and unhappy with what you're facing, it's going to play a role in how you see the rest of your day and how well it goes. Try to determine what's missing from your work-life balance. Maybe a few well-placed breaks could really help you get through your day. I don't know. Maybe you're behind on your vacations. I know that happened to me and my family as we had some personal matters to take care of last year, and we postponed our vacation. As the day of our delayed vacation became closer this year, joy and excitement, let me tell you, abounded. And that was how I felt before we went on vacation. My point, you need something to look forward to, a reward, even if brief, from your daily tasks, from your daily activities, just some time off. It doesn't have to be expensive or grandiose. Just a break from your work routine will really help. And that's the importance of taking breaks. So in a recap, I briefly told a story of how I was impacted by being overworked, overstressed, and how my memory suffered significantly from this to the point where I didn't even understand that I had been to work and then quickly returned home. That can be a scary and dangerous situation. If you started to see episodes where you're forgetting things more frequently than normal, forgetting where you've placed things, had difficulty computing certain tasks that you used to do with ease, those could be signs that you're in a stressful environment and that you really have to perform a self-check. I do have some tips for you that I'm going to share on this show, but mind you, I am not a medical professional. If you feel you have an extreme amount of workload in your life or stress, please see your management and please see medical professionals as needed to discuss possibly balancing out your work life as well as getting medical advice and medical help where needed. One thing I can tell you, though, is from the other shows that I had released earlier on in my career with Career Growth Made Easy, I talked about fueling your body and also about the effects of things going in your body. So these are things that rob your energy. You can reference episode 38. And for episode 39, what do you fuel your body with? Talk about caffeine, coffee. How do you handle your sleep? It's not just about duration, but it's about quality. And then, as I said today, it's about breaks. Experts will typically tell you that you should not work more than 90 to 120 minutes consistently without taking a break, even if it's a short one. Then there's the matter of most of us are now working in front of computers, laptops, multiple screens. We don't give our eyes a rest, and we're focusing on this stuff all day long. I think in one of those two shows, I even talk about the 20-20-20 rule. I think you'll find that interesting, but it's a way where you can give your eyes a rest by looking at something every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. It lets your eyes refocus, kind of zoom out to a distant object, and let your eye kind of recharge. Almost to the point where you have to set a timer on your watch. You can say, Craig, I got this. I'm really good at time management. Oh, yeah? Then why are you and I working so many hours and forgetting to take breaks, right? So there's some advice we both could take, right? Set that timer. 20 minutes goes off. All right, whatever I'm doing, stop. Put a pause, take a note down what I was working on, and do that break. Too often we will dismiss our timers, dismiss things, calendar messages we have to take care of ourselves, and that includes taking the all-important break. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Career Growth Made Easy podcast. We've talked a lot about jobs and also internships recently, but let's not forget today's show, the importance of taking care of ourselves and the importance of taking breaks. I've been your host, Craig Ansell, wishing you a healthy, peaceful year, and don't forget to take care of yourself while you're taking care of others and serving your employer and your customer. God bless you. I will talk to you next week. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our channel. New episodes every Monday. In the meantime, why don't you follow us on social media at Craig Ansell on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. To book a coaching appointment, download our free guides, or join our email list, check out the links in the description below.